My name is Amelia, and I am 28 years old. I live in a small, quiet town where the days fold into one another. My life is a simple routine. I walk to work each morning, a journey that takes me past familiar houses and waving neighbors. I work at a local grocery store. My tasks are straightforward. I mop the floors until they shine, I restock the shelves with a careful hand, and I assist customers who need help finding what they're looking for. The work isn't difficult, but by the time evening arrives, a deep sense of weariness settles into my bones. My family is small and far away. I live by myself in a modest apartment. My parents are in a different state, and our conversations are limited to occasional phone calls. I have no siblings. Weekends are my sanctuary of solitude. I cook meals for one, wash my clothes, and lose myself in the melodies of soft music. Sometimes I'll watch old movies on my small television. My existence is simple, a quiet life lived on the sidelines. I rarely go out, and I've never been one for parties or loud gatherings. I find comfort in the quiet things, a cup of warm tea, gentle music, and short, peaceful walks. I don't have many friends, but I don't always feel lonely. I find a certain contentment in my small world. Then one day, a new person walked into the store. He asked, "Excuse me, where can I find the coffee?" I pointed him toward the correct aisle. He smiled, a genuine, warm smile, and said, "Thank you." He had short, brown hair and eyes that held a gentle kindness. His voice was soft, not demanding. The next day he returned, this time asking for tea, and the day after that for bread. He became a regular visitor. He always had that same smile, and he always seemed genuinely pleased to see me. His name was Ethan. One afternoon he remarked, "You're always working so hard. Do you enjoy your job?" I shrugged and replied, "It's all right." He let out a soft chuckle. "I work at the bus station. It's dreadfully boring." We shared a brief, knowing laugh. It was the first time our conversation had extended beyond a few simple words. After that, he made a point to talk to me every time he came in. Sometimes he was there to buy something, but other times, he'd just pop his head in and ask, "How are you doing today, Amelia?" I found myself looking forward to his visits. I would unconsciously watch the door, my heart giving a little leap whenever he walked through it. He began to open up more. He told me he lived in a small apartment near the bus station and worked 6 days a week. He, too, disliked loud places and preferred music and long walks. We had so much in common. I liked the same things. Once he mentioned he loved the smell of rain. I said, "Me too," and we both smiled. It was a small, insignificant detail, but it made me feel a profound connection to him. When he spoke, I listened intently. And when I spoke, he looked directly at me, giving me his undivided attention. I cherished that. One evening, as I was closing up, he asked, "Would you like to go for a walk sometime?" My heart fluttered. "Yes," I said. We walked through the local park as the sky painted itself in shades of pink and orange. It was a perfectly tranquil evening. He spoke of the town he grew up in, and I told him about mine. I found myself smiling more than I had in a long time. I didn't want the walk to end. We started walking together often, sometimes after my shift, sometimes just before sunset. We talked, we laughed, and I felt a happiness that was new and exhilarating. I felt safe with him. One day I baked a batch of chocolate chip cookies and brought some to the store. When I saw him come in, I handed him a small box. He looked pleasantly surprised. "For me?" he asked. I nodded shyly. "Yes." He took a bite and his eyes lit up. "These are incredible," he said. I felt a blush creep up my neck, but inside I was beaming. Another time, I found a small keychain shaped like a bus. I bought it for him. "This made me think of you," I said as I gave it to him. He laughed, a warm and genuine sound. "I love it." He immediately attached it to his keys. That simple gesture filled me with a warmth that lasted for days. My feelings for him deepened. I started to care for him in a way that was more than friendship. I thought of him when I woke up. I anticipated his arrival at work, and he was the last thought on my mind before I fell asleep. I never voiced my feelings, but I thought, surely, he must have known. One day he said, "You're such a kind person, Amelia. You're a great listener. I really like that about you." I looked at him, my heart pounding in my chest. I wanted to say something more, something meaningful, but the words wouldn't come. I remained quiet. He was kind, he was gentle, but he never said he liked me in a romantic way. He never reached for my hand. He never whispered sweet words. His kindness was constant, but it never crossed the line into something more. I told myself he was just shy, so I waited. Days turned into weeks. We continued our walks and our talks, but nothing changed. I searched for a sign, any small indication of deeper feelings, a lingering touch, a prolonged gaze, but there was nothing. Still, I held on to hope. Then one Friday, he didn't come to the store. I waited all day, my eyes darting to the door every time the bell chimed. He never appeared. A cold, sad feeling settled over me. I assumed he was just busy. But he didn't come the next day or the day after that. On Monday, I finally saw him. He was with a woman. She was tall and beautiful, with long, flowing hair. They were laughing together, their heads close. He saw me and gave a friendly wave. I managed to wave back, though my hand was trembling. I stayed behind the counter, unable to move. I watched them as they shopped and then left the store together. My chest felt tight, and a sharp pain lodged itself deep inside me. I wanted to break down, but I forced a smile for the next customer. That night, I sat on the edge of my bed, staring out the window into the darkness. I didn't eat. I didn't watch TV. I just sat there, my thoughts swirling. The next day, Ethan came in alone. "Sorry I was gone last week," he said. "I was a bit busy." I just said, "It's okay." He looked at me for a moment. "That was my old friend from back home. She was visiting the town." "That's nice," I replied, my voice flat. He smiled, bought his tea, and left. After that, his visits became less frequent. We still engaged in small talk, but our long conversations ceased. The walks stopped. The laughter faded. My heart was heavy, but I did my best to conceal it. One day, I gathered the courage to ask, "Do you still go for walks in the park?" He nodded. "Yes, with my friend. She's decided to stay for a while longer." I forced another smile, but this time I could feel the tears welling up. I never told him how I felt. I never said the words, "I like you." I just waited, I hoped. But he never saw me in that way. He didn't lie to me. He didn't hurt me with cruel words. He just offered me his silence. And that silence was what shattered my heart. The days seemed to stretch on endlessly. I continued my routine, going to work, cleaning the store, helping customers. But my heart was no longer in it. A part of me felt exhausted. Ethan still dropped by occasionally. He would offer the same smile and the same question, "How are you today?" And I would offer the same lie, "I'm fine," while my own smile felt like a mask. I tried to act normal, to speak as I had before, but my words felt hollow. I couldn't laugh the same way. I couldn't hold his gaze for more than a second. It was too painful. He would sometimes mention his friend. "She really likes this town," he'd say, or, "We walked by the lake yesterday." I would just listen, nodding silently as I handed him his purchase. Sleep became a stranger. I would lie awake at night, staring at the dark ceiling, replaying every moment with Ethan in my mind, his smile, his voice, his kind eyes. And then my thoughts would drift to her long hair and the easy happiness they shared. I tortured myself with the question, why not me? I was there for him. I listened. I cared. I baked him cookies. I gave him thoughtful little gifts, but it wasn't enough. He didn't love me. A sense of inadequacy began to creep in. Maybe I wasn't pretty enough. Maybe I was too boring. Maybe I was just a convenient person to talk to, a pleasant distraction, and nothing more. One Sunday, I went to the park alone and sat on a bench, watching the world go by. I saw friends laughing, families playing, and couples holding hands. I was an island of solitude. Tears welled in my eyes, and I quickly wiped them away, not wanting any strangers to witness my pain. I told myself it was just a bad day, but deep down, I knew it was more than that. The next day at work, Ethan came in looking cheerful. "My friend is moving back to her city," he announced. "She was here for a long visit, but it's time for her to go home." I didn't know how to react. Was this good news? Did it matter anymore? All I could manage was a quiet, "Oh, I see." He looked at me, a hint of concern on his face. "You're very quiet today." "Just tired," I said. "Okay, well, take care of yourself," he replied before walking out. After he left, I retreated to the back room and closed my eyes, fighting back the tears that threatened to fall. Over the next week, he started coming around more often, talking more. He even asked if I wanted to go for a walk again. I hesitated. "Maybe another time," I said. I needed distance. I needed to find my own strength and my own happiness, separate from him. It wasn't easy. I remembered that first day he walked into the store, how his simple smile had sparked something inside me. Now that same smile was a source of pain. One evening, I walked by the lake alone. The setting sun cast an orange glow across the water. I saw a couple sitting on a bench, laughing as the woman held the man's hand. I quickly looked away and walked faster, a single tear tracing a path down my cheek. This wasn't just about Ethan anymore. It was about me. I realized I was always waiting for someone to choose me, waiting for someone to say, "You are the one I've been looking for." But that person never came. I started to think deeply about my life. I was a hard-working, kind person. I was quiet, but I had dreams. I wanted to feel special. I wanted to feel loved. Was that too much to ask? One day, my coworker, Emily, asked me, "Are you okay, Amelia?" I gave my usual response, but she saw right through it. "You're not smiling like you used to," she said gently. "You can talk to me, you know." And so I told her a little bit of the story. She listened patiently and then said, "You are a wonderful person, Amelia. Don't ever let someone's silence make you feel worthless. If a person can't see your value, that is their loss, not yours." Her words resonated with me. That night, I made a silent promise to myself. You are enough. You are kind. You are strong. You do not need someone else's love to be whole. I began to take small steps toward healing. I sat in the park by myself and just enjoyed the warmth of the sun. I bought a small potted plant for my windowsill. I started listening to uplifting music again. I made a large pot of soup and shared it with Emily. Ethan still came to the store, but I no longer waited for him. My eyes no longer darted to the door. When he came in, I greeted him with a genuine smile, a friendly hello, and gave him his items. But the desperate hope in my heart was gone. One day, he asked again, "Are you sure you don't want to go for a walk?" I looked at him, my expression soft but firm. "I don't think so," I said gently. He looked a little taken aback, a flicker of sadness in his eyes. "Okay," he said, and then he left. I stood there for a moment, not feeling sad or broken, but calm. I had loved him. I had given him my time and a piece of my heart. In return, he had given me silence. And in that silence, I had finally found my own voice. Now I understand that love shouldn't be a painful, one-sided weight. It shouldn't diminish you or make you feel small. I still remember Ethan. I remember our walks, the cookies, the smiles, and the soft twilight evenings. But I am no longer waiting. He broke my heart without saying a word, but I am still here. I am still standing. And I am learning to be okay on my own. It was a peaceful Sunday morning. Sunlight streamed into my room, and I opened the window to let in the fresh air. The trees swayed gently in the breeze against a clear blue sky. It felt like a new beginning. I made myself some tea and sat in my favorite chair by the window, cradling the warm mug. I watched the people on the street below. Life was moving on, and so was I. I still thought of Ethan from time to time, but the thoughts were no longer heavy with pain. My heart felt quiet, at peace. He continued to visit the store, offering his usual hello and smile. But he never asked me to walk with him again, and I was perfectly fine with that. One day he remarked, "You look really happy today." I smiled back, a true, radiant smile. "Thank you, I am." My voice was steady. I felt no nervousness, no sadness. I just felt strong. After he left, I looked around the familiar store. Everything was the same: the shelves, the products, the tiled floor. But I was different. I had changed. I began to see myself not just as the quiet girl at the grocery store, but as a woman who had the capacity to feel deeply, to care immensely, and to heal resiliently. I started doing small, kind things for myself. I bought a new dress, a lovely shade of light blue, and wore it for a walk around town one weekend. I felt beautiful in it. I also started a list of things I wanted to do. Learn how to paint, visit the lake in the summer, take a short trip to a neighboring town. They were small dreams, but they were mine. My friend Emily noticed the change. "You're smiling so much more these days," she said. "I feel better," I replied. "I can see that," she said, her own smile warm and encouraging. I held no resentment toward Ethan. He hadn't intentionally hurt me, he just didn't feel the same way. And that's a part of life. Sometimes the love we give isn't returned. It's a painful lesson, but the pain eventually subsides. It softens, quiets, and one day, it's simply a story, a part of who you've become. One afternoon, while sitting in the park, a woman about my age sat on the bench next to me. "It's a beautiful day," she said. "Yes, it is," I agreed. We started talking. Her name was Chloe, and she was new to town. She asked for a recommendation for a good tea shop, and I told her about a little cafe near the bus station. "Thank you," she said. "Maybe we could go for tea together sometime." A genuine smile spread across my face. "Yes, I would like that very much." That evening, I thought about Chloe and the possibility of a new friendship. I felt a sense of hope and happiness. I also thought about my time with Ethan, the walks, and the quiet conversations. I no longer felt pain, only a sense of gratitude. I had experienced love. I had felt something real and profound. That night I had one final thought about him. "Thank you, Ethan. You didn't love me back, but you inadvertently helped me discover my own heart. In waiting for your words, I found my own strength instead. Now, on my daily walk to work, I notice more. I see the vibrant colors of the flowers in people's gardens. I look up at the vastness of the sky. I smile at strangers, and sometimes they smile back. I've learned that love isn't always a grand declaration. Sometimes it's soft, sometimes it's silent, Sometimes it leaves, but sometimes it stays inside you, transformed into a quiet strength. One day I walked past the bus station and saw Ethan from a distance. He was standing by a bus and he didn't see me. I paused for a brief second, then continued on my way. I felt no sadness, no sense of loss. All I felt was a deep, abiding peace. I went home, made myself soup, and listened to my favorite music. I sat by the window and watched the rain fall, feeling perfectly content in my own company. I was alone, but I was not empty. I was still healing, but I was more than okay.